Hiya, hiya. If you are seeing two different squares, one of them is Paul Sladkus. He's the other guy on the picture. I'm Joey. I'm the one on the left or the right. I don't know. It depends on where you're looking at this thing. But whatever the case, we've become our own engineers and techies. And I'm my own intern at this point, and I'm paying myself very well. But what happened is our whole country has become showbiz. You know, there was a time when Andy Warhol years ago, who was a wonderful artist and also a genius at painting, and if you need a frame of reference, he's the guy that screwed around with that Heinz ketchup can, or that thing. If you remember that, it's one of the few things I remember about him. Plus, he looked like a girl, but that's okay. I ran into him in the theater one time, and I thought it was Goldie Hawn, but it was actually Andy Warhol. But that's my story. Anyway, Andy Warhol said, "We will come to the time when everybody is famous for 15 minutes." He was wrong. Now everybody's famous for about a minute and a half. It's a different time zone. And here's the thing about it. My life has been very routine, and I broke all the rules. So now I've become the guy that people look to be this. I'm the stabilizer. I was the one that was the rebel. I was a rebel with a cause. And now all of a sudden I'm the guy that you look at when you want to know what the truth is, and stability and decency, and all of a sudden the comic book turned on me. And as I turn my comic book page, I find the name Paul Sladkus. Now, what did Paul do? Why do we have Paul up on the screen today? Well, Paul did something very, very unusual. He did what I'm talking about. He went against the grain. A big-time broadcast executive television guy, and he walked away from it to create good news. That's why nobody knows who the hell he is. It would have been better if you said, this is the worst, most vile news company in history, and we're doing nothing but slamming and jamming everybody, and if it bleeds, we're going to lead, and we're going to be the most, we're going to pick Republicans, we're going to tear apart Democrats. Then, Paul, you would be the most famous guy in the country because people want to see dirt. And you went the other way. You went ahead and gave us decency and good shows and interesting people. How dare you violate all the principles of good sense, which is to just dish the dirt. That's what they call it in L.A. We used to have a lot of people in L.A. were almost killed. One of whom was Frank Sinatra, because they were making fun of him in Confidential magazine, and he ordered a hit on the editor, and they were going to have Frank killed. It was going back and forth. Rona Barrett, she was a gossip. She started a lot of things, and she got in the middle of the gunfight. But the people who were doing things that were against the grain got very famous. So, Paul, how are you?
Hey, Joey, I'm fine. Thank you very much. And it's a big honor to get a chance to speak with my good friend, Joey Reynolds. Thank you.
Well, it looks, looking at you, look like you died and went to heaven with all that beautiful light behind you.
Well, I am an interfaith minister, a reverend of all faiths and spiritual. But this, the light has really nothing to do with anything, and anything else has almost nothing to do with anything. If you
the light has everything. The light has everything to do with spirituality, and you're bringing everybody into the light.
Yeah, that's true. Light is important. In fact, the one time when we did the Brain Series, Joey, for PBS, we put some winter depressives in front of light. To show how their hypothalamus on a PET scan early on, National Institute of Mental Health, PBS, the brain. Light really increases the everything in the body. Makes the blood cells happy, makes the brain happy. It's good. I agree with you, Joey. That's why you're in Florida.
Yeah. More light. I got stuck. I came down for a quick visit, and I wound up running into a virus. So here I am. I stayed avoiding New York because you guys had bigger lockdown.
Yes, we have.
You probably felt like you were on Rikers Island the way it was going there.
It's a stressful time in Manhattan. I'm on the Upper West Side, and but it's a beautiful time and other things. Of course, it's a sad time, very sad. and scary, and but you know, we're getting through this. We'll get through this, and sad for so many, if not everybody. And but you know, once again, we'll get through these difficult times, and hopefully maybe learn some things and change some things. I hope.
Well, now let's talk about the Good News Network. You left a major job to start this Good News Network, correct?
Well, actually, I left television business, I guess you could say, to, you know, the network television. I was at CBS for many years, and then Channel 13 many years, PBS, New York, and then a short stint at WNYC, the city station. But actually, I started back in 1985. My own company was really the Chinese that put us in business by saying, why don't you come and help us sell advertising and marketing on our Chinese TV? Because I was the head of marketing for NYC TV at my last position. And that was for ethnic broadcasters. What kept that PBS station, one of the first PBS stations, was they leased out their time to foreign broadcasters. And I found it interesting that, you know, I like working with different multicultural communities because one day I wanted to put my shows on worldwide. And I figured if I did something for them and I helped them. And so we started a multicultural advertising and marketing company in '85. But then in 1998, I got back to more of the television roots, even though I was doing television, though in different languages, to the Good News broadcast, which was always my mission since my All in the Family days in '72 starting, to promote positive, life-affirming content. So I've been doing that now. It'll be 22 years on July 4th.
And I've known you now for a few years, since I've been in WOR. That was years ago I first met you. And you had put so many good things together. Earth Day, for one thing, in Times Square and in Central Park. Yeah. You closed the park for rural traffic and opened it up for the world. That was amazing.
Well, we've done a couple good things. You know, Joey, I want to thank you. Actually, I just looked at you on the Peace Day event that we do in Times Square on September 21st. And you read, maybe you have it in your pocket. It would be a beautiful thing to share. A quote from Mother Teresa. I just looked at it a couple of days ago before even this call to me. That was a very powerful commentary. What was, you tell me, that was what an addition into our show.
Well, let's set this up first. You know, you had a Peace Day in Times Square. Mm-hmm. And you had people from all over doing different things that were relevant to peace.
Sure.
And I came in there throwing dirt because I'm from the earth. But I came in there with a lot of fun. And you also had a celebration of people who were singing, poets, musicians, clowns. You had everything going on. But Times Square turned out to be that now. It wasn't that then. You opened that door for the comic book land that it became. and the day that you had my friend Bob Asatria and his wife Gloria recreated the World War II era, 42nd Street, and they had done a dance, a big band dance. Remember that?
I do. Spirit of 45, I think we called it.
Yeah, and what was it that they had recreated the sailor and his wife, the sailor and his girlfriend, who were
kissing, the famous love kiss in Times Square after the war was declared finito.
Yeah, I mean that was like the U.S. version of Iwo Jima, you know, the flag that we see all the time with the Marines. Yes. But this particular one was the end of the war, and it was the boyfriend and the girlfriend. I don't know if they were married. I think didn't you have them with us too?
I interviewed them. Yes, and some of their family. Yeah. They did get married, and they're on our broadcast, goodnewsbroadcast.com or goodnewsplanet.tv. You can look them up, and it was a beautiful story. It was a beautiful outreach once again, as there are so many millions of good news content in the world.
Well, what happened with you in World War II? Did you get
World War II,
You're
I
not that
wasn't
old.
born.
I know.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't. I was born in '49. Not. I missed the war.
So you knew nothing
Yeah.
about it. I mean, isn't that the case now with the millennials? They know nothing about all of this history of Civil War, but they're taking statues down. I don't know why. I mean, you can take something down from history that had nothing to do with them anyway. What are we doing?
Well, I don't know much in that regard or whatever. But history does have its importance. There's no doubt about that. On how it was dealt with and what we learned from it.
Well, why do we want to erase history?
Well, some of it's worth erasing.
Yeah. Well, we didn't erase Auschwitz. You know, we kept all the buildings up, and it's a reminder for the Jew to know
Right.
that this is a terrible tragedy and probably the second or third worst thing since I've been alive, you know, that I ever heard about. And because 9/11, since it affected all of us in New York, and I think the also Hiroshima, that would be another one. There's several of that huge things. I mean, you can't erase that.
No, of course not.
Well, so how do you erase Civil War? Well, I mean, that's what made us great. Not the war itself, but the fact that we came to terms, and we had a good president, President Grant. So what the hell's the problem?
So what are you speaking in reference to? Some people wanting to knock down some things and represent that time in our country?
No, what? Well, I'm talking about you. You are the gatekeeper for the good news,
Right.
and the good news is that there is bad news, and for the light to shine, you have to see the dark, and you have to know there's dark, and then the light is what I'm attracted to. But if you don't know about the dark, you are never going to know that you are in the light. You're just going to think everything is in the light, and you won't have the color of life. And that's my opinion. See. I mean, I don't know what we were in school. When I was in school, we were learning geography. Then they called it history, and they changed it to social studies. Now, you know, why does everybody always have to change all these names, you know, to make it sound softer? I mean, even George Carlin does a real good routine on all of that. It's unbelievable how we want to sugarcoat because the pain is too much. But the pain is where the action is. That's the prick from the porcupine shows you that you're not supposed to touch the quills. I mean, that's what it is. That's the deal. And so why are we honoring somebody who's dishonoring? And you know, the other thing is part of my little speech here. The other thing is that Fahrenheit 451, which was the burning of the books, that was written. I think it was George Orwell who wrote that. I'm not sure. But it's about burning all of the books, and then we don't have a sense of anything that we have to consider to be in the way of our progress, or for us to have commonality. And I think the exciting part about life is we don't have that. We're not the same. I live with my ex-wife. She's not the same. She's not the same as when I married her. I'm not the same as when, you know, our relationship's different. And is it supposed to be always like the same? I mean, should I be a cartoon? It's amazing. Go ahead.
Well, I you know, the only thing about the same, this is my take on same. And I think it's an important take, okay? Not because I'm saying it by any means. It's by the gift of however human beings were created. And there's what we call, I believe historically we state that human beings are Homo sapiens and the species. And I like to actually, in essence, speak on that subject. Only, and not much to say. We're all related. All I got to say is we're all related. We're all brothers. We're all sisters, no matter what you want to say. You know, we're all the colors, the religions, the creeds, the countries, some of these segregations of us human beings still cannot take away the fact that we are all brothers and sisters, if you want to call it brothers and sisters. And I think that if we can get our mind and our conscience around that, as a human race with all the humans, then a lot of these concerning scenarios, from countries to the religion to the colors of skin and all these things, maybe we'll say, well, those are really just kind of add-on situations. So we're brothers. We should just love each other. Period. That's it. That's the end of my whole thinking.
Well, no, that's not all of your thinking. Well, as I understand it, with you have a lot of thinking, but I'm really impressed with the fact that you have been able to synopsize it. You know, I mean, I have to go on for an hour and a half before.
Well, I don't know how well I did. I just want us to have a party. You know, for me, the Peace Day party is where I want to have. I want on September 21st at 12 noon, everybody in the world to hug each other and make love and enjoy each other. Not now.
You can't. You got to distance yourself.
Well, yes, of course, but you know, just that's what I've been working for, to see everybody on the same page and in harmony.
Well, you've achieved that. We do that for a day. Now, how do we do it the other 364?
Yeah, well, we don't even do it on a day, but I'm happy. I learned. I wanted to stop the world, then I wanted to pause the world, and this is for many years. So if we get 10 seconds, we get 1 minute on there is a day, and the day was declared at the United Nations International Day of Peace. So whether you believe in the United Nations or you don't, it's still at least a day that 193 country representatives to the United Nations agreed to a day of peace. So I've just put my efforts into this day, and hopefully we can just on that day start. You know, it's just something to talk about, something to market towards, to have a day for peace international. September 21st is declared. They say 2 or so billion people are aware of it, and so we're trying to help strengthen that message. So that's a big part of it, in addition to our good news shows.
Yeah. Did you ever accomplish your purpose of starting this network? Did you achieve that?
Well, yes, I've started the Good News broadcast, or Good News Planet, on the internet. You know, we have 4,000 or 5,000 shows on YouTube. We've done what we've done. Now we're actually doing live shows during this period. It kind of forced us into a different kind of a content. So I've gone Facebook Live and then put it on YouTube and other places. A half-hour television show every day. I've done about 120 hours since April 8th at my home in Manhattan, and then rang the bell at 7 o'clock with my neighbors on 79th and 80th, which is very beautiful, or wherever I was. Everybody, even down by Riverside Park or even in the streets on Broadway, people were appreciative, or some people always, right, of the people, the heroes that are out there. And I like to also expand it more than just the heroes here and the hospitals here. I like to expand it worldwide. Right now, somebody in Africa is not getting a glass of water. So I think we got to think worldly, because we are worldly. We are brothers and sisters all around the world. And we got to run the place a little bit better than we're doing right now.
No, we're separated by everything. But the electronics have separated us too.
I think that's going to save us. I think this little telephone is going to help save us, because you can get remember we used to have satellite trucks? We'd have tons of equipment to make something happen. You can do a live show for the world on the phone. If everybody in those countries agreed to accept the signals, you could get to 3 or 4 billion people with the phone.
And it's ruined some lives too.
Well, I'm sure it has. Media can help you, or it could hurt you very quickly too, because it's, once again, somebody watching a message. It's not the entire message, and it always also depends on that person's perspective of life, right?
What do you think of the commercial television right now?
I like commercial television. It's very vast. It's loaded with content. You have the traditional networks. You have the cable networks. Yeah, I mean, you got more communications out there than Carter has pills. I don't know. So it's a ton of stuff out there. I mean, everybody finds what they like. I mean, I love a lot of it personally because I like television. I'm a boob tube guy. So I think there's a lot of stuff. There's not my taste in a lot of things too. So I try to stay away. I don't like bang bang shoot 'em ups of any kind. And I watching the Disney Channel last night. I'm a grandpa.
Well, they're being taken down too. People are saying that Bambi shouldn't be shot. That's an animal activist group. You know, I mean, people are finding fault with everything all the time now. We didn't have that when I grew up. I don't know about you. Did you have that around you?
No, I grew up in Tarrytown, a little small town. No, none of this actually. Most of it makes no sense to me. You know, we loved the little town. We had a little bit of different ethnicities of each in the town, and we just, you know, we communicated. We commingled. We lived in the town, and just.
But you had the Headless Horseman, and you had the Ichabod Crane.
We had Ichabod Crane, and you know, those were nice additions. I used to talk to the Headless Horseman a lot. You know, he was my friend.
That's your audience now.
Yeah, 100% right.
So what's the show that you're doing these days that we're supposed to be on?
So it's goodnewsplanet.tv, our Good News broadcast. And it's, you know, it's the website is the home for it all still. But we are doing these Facebook Live shows at 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock. And, you know, working towards, you know, taking it out to more locations. You know, we put it on the social networks and all that stuff. But one thing I haven't really pushed hard for, because I, to be frank, waited for investment into us. We have a big state who wanted to invest in us. I don't know now in today's scenario where that'll be, but if we got investment, then I can do the shows right. As you know, Joey, so well. To do them right is a different situation than a Zoom call. You know, to do them right is a crew and maybe going to locations and filming. I mean, forget the coronavirus reality right now, but to do shows is like a networking thing. People start to expect that kind of level of technology. So you need a team of some researchers. You know, we do a lot. We've made 5,000 shows, but and I have all these PR people that just call me and stuff. So I'm fortunate. I really don't have to do much. I can get 1,000 shows a day if I really had the energy or so on. But I need more people than to do those recordings. So just goodnewsplanet.tv. And we're looking to get better, more viewership, because the people that are on are worthy of, you know, Joey Reynolds is a classic. I mean, and has so much to share something. So I'm going to take this show and I'll broadcast it as well. That's the nature of the web now, is that people can share their content if they're wise enough and not exclusive enough to think that they can't share and blah, blah, blah. It's good to share.
Do you have older people who are not challenged by the technology like I am?
Well, you know, I was on the board for 15 or so years of SeniorNet, senior organization that taught seniors how to use computers. You know, I think that most people are figuring it out, or they're getting their 2-year-old grandkid to help them figure it out. It's not so common. It's scary. For me too. I was just giving a joke about passwords. Passwords, I've said they're going to take 3 or 4 years off of my life. Because somehow, for some reason, I made it good news, or news good, or 9999, or 6666, or 333, whatever I've used. I somehow can never. So I write them down. They're very stressful. And then in the end they tell you, sorry, incorrect password, and they don't always allow you to see what numbers you're putting in, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, oh hell, there's nobody around me. What are you doing? What are you going to do? Leave me alone. Let me just see what I'm writing. I got my fingers are going to I'm doing it on the phone. Whatever.
So our lives are different because of the phone. It's been an advanced culture,
yes.
And also it's scary because we have to learn and change, and it comes automatically to the young people, as you well know.
Because they're not changing; they're going right into it.
Yeah, and so now we're at a point where there's comedy, and you have been watching comedy all afternoon today. Because what are you doing? A comedy?
Well, we're going to do so it's the 22nd anniversary of Good News, and on July 4th, no less. And actually please everybody join our newsletter, because we have a lot of nice things in there from nice people. So somebody in England, a prince actually, wrote me and said, why don't we do a comedy special together? And he's been following us since days of old when we did some shows for Peace and Jane Goodall and Marion Williamson and so on and so forth. And I think it's great. So there's a comedy club in Manchester. The only trouble is it's very hard to understand the people from England out there. I used to have a girlfriend from there. I didn't understand what she said for a long time. But
Can you imagine that you have to use subtitles for the English language?
For that area, by far. Or they have to use it for us, because we butcher their language in many respects. So in any case, so they want to do something. I have some buddies in the West Side Comedy Club that said they'll do something. So we're just putting together, we're doing a couple other benefits. We're doing one for Bellevue Hospital with the Mae West show, actually, Bonnie Shimkin and her Mae West show on July 11th. We got a few things of, with this Zooming or Skyping, there's still productions. If you do it right, the shows you see on NBC and CBS on the networks level, they're done right, and they're doing pre-production, and they're editing, and they're doing a lot of, the old stuff, just the way that people are receiving it differently.
Well, didn't you know that I have a big crew behind me and 4 writers?
Well, that I always know, because a man like you needs to have that kind of team.
I need 4 doctors is what I need. I got a doctor online. I had a visit with my doctor. And he kept me waiting, so I peed in a cup and I read a magazine. But the guy keeps you online, for a half hour, and I'm wondering, why is he having me wait now? I mean, why don't you just plug me in when it's time? Why don't you say 2:00 and 2:00 it's broadcast standard, but they're not. This is Doctor Irregularity. Yeah, they do whatever they want to do. They don't have well, first of all, they have to make money. So I guess they want to charge you if you're on online a little longer. Maybe it's more expensive. I don't know. The doctors aren't. They make house calls now on video, so they are doing that.
I've done some shows on that, actually. Teledentistry. I have my eye doctor. I started as a virtual eye examination. Checking me out. We do those kind of. Actually, the thing that I have a lot of on our broadcast is health and wellness. I've interviewed thousands of doctors. I want to learn about things that I had heart failure yesterday. With experts, they're like some of the best in the world. They know their stuff, and they talk about things. Our fatty liver the day before. A lot of science, because there's advances. And it's wise to know that XYZ might not be the best thing for you. Or XYZ is a way to get rid of the thing that you got. So the good and the bad.
Be a great name for a rap artist, Fatty Liver. Here he is. So are you going to be doing any of these concerts with me? Do you want me to show up and come over there and
well, they're all virtual. At this point, we're into the virtual land.
So I don't have to go anywhere, do I? That's what I'm getting at.
You don't have to go anywhere right now. This is an expense. This is cleaning up the air and cleaning up a lot of scenarios. And this is the opportunity that actually, hopefully, we can figure out how to take advantage of.
But I prefer scratch and sniff. I like holding someone, touching someone, but it's not an option right now. But I prefer that. I like the in-person stuff.
I do too. I love a good hug. I miss hugging people and all the our body languages and social languages.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just television.
looking at someone in the eye, yeah, this is TV, and everybody's a show, and I would like to have someone my size.
And it's a passive medium. It's a passive medium. I mean, it's nice we are having a conversation, but when you watch television, I learned that in whatever graduate school, and they said, it's television's passive. You sit in the chair, you watch some people, talking. At least times you have some interaction with a guest like you like to do, and you're so good at it, Joey. I'm going to say it straight out here. I think you're one of the best of getting the most out of people's lives. You do a great job. I'm throwing it out there. No BS there. You're
I've been modeled by some great people, and they would be turning over in their graves if they saw me saying, "Why are you ruining that?"
No, they wouldn't, Joey. Not at all. Not at all. I know you a long time.
Yeah. Well, we've been journeying together, and that's the point. Is that I talked to Charlie Warner yesterday or day before, I think it was, and we're all around the same age. I mean, we've had the same experiences, and it's topped by this conversation that I had with a. Well, I have to introduce this. It takes too long, but I want to shorten this. I'm guilty of something my mother taught me, which is to start one story and then never finish it and get to the next one. I met George Burns, and I never met him early in life, and he was 90-something, and he came to an appearance in Florida one time. He finally went on the road after he played God. And I said, "I think you're my father." And he said, "Why?" And I said, "Because my mother is like Gracie Allen. She never finishes a sentence. That's neither did Jimmy Hoffa. But my mother was known for starting something like I just did, and then I never finished it. So where did he go with that? What was he saying?"
It's cool. Anyway, I happen to like that way of thinking. Well, I like a stream of consciousness.
Oh my God, I peed in the stream of consciousness. Now, right now, this is the one that I was starting to tell. And then the bird walks across my computer here. She's saying it's time to tweet. So what happened is I had these great teachers of communications, and yet my daughter went to school for troubled teens, and it's really is about troubled parents. So long story short, I've mentioned this on the air before. I have coached by a lovely black woman from the Bronx for years, 30 years. And also her son, who was a member of the school and a dorm parent with the kids. In that school, you graduate by consensus. When everybody agrees you're ready to go, then they vote you out of the school. Oh, wow. I've lost a lot of jobs that way. But I got voted out of the front office, not good. So anyway, in the school, my dorm parent person I talked to the other night, and I had a very wonderful discussion with him. He's a black guy who's at an essentially white, rich school in the Berkshires. So, that's already a setup for poverty and for people who want to be an elitist core, and I'm not necessarily that. That's not who I am. But that doesn't mean that I'm immune to anything. I like money and I like having nice things, but I'm not willing to do the things that other people have done. I don't want to lie, cheat, and steal too much. Just a little. So the guy that I was talking with the other night, he enlightened me about some of this television that we had, which is where you come from, and how we used to watch TV years ago, which we grew up with, and black kids grew up with white television. Not black and white was a set, but I'm talking about the shows. It was essentially a white medium with exception, probably till Norman Lear came along. But we had Amos and Andy, and it was white guys on the radio. But they according to Marcus, my friend, he said we all really had values. Even though I was a black person in a neighborhood, he said, but once we opened it up, when my own people opened it up with hip hop, and the language changed, I just want to present evidence that we have lived through a lot of things, and we're continuing to live through them, and some of them just aren't right. They're never going to be right until we change them. So I'm about change. And I do think that what you said earlier, we are brothers and sisters on the planet, and we're all holding hands together, whether you like it or not. And nobody ever chose to come here. Not any person alive chose to come here. And no one knows when they're leaving either. And they don't know why they're here. All of this is learned. And even, I think it was Al Sharpton, one of those guys the other day said that we're not born with prejudice. I think it was Spike Lee. We're not born with prejudice. You learn it. And what a thing to learn. But so I don't want to sound like I'm against any one thing. I just think the record ought to be set straight that we've lived with a lot of garbage too. I mean, and every impression, now we get to you. Every impression is a message on television. The medium is the message. And you have lived with the idea, now we're back to Paul Sladkus, of taking the negative stuff and either avoiding it, working around it, or going through it and changing it. That's what you've been all about. That's why I wanted to have you on the.
Thank you, Joey.
I mean, this is your life. You dedicated your whole life to this, your whole adult life.
And my mortgage.
Yeah, no, you lose a lot of friends that way. But when you have dedicated your life like this, and then the sum total becomes, well, at least you're happy and you're healthy, and that's the point anyway, isn't it?
Yes, that's the point. It's all good.
Do you handle fear? Do you have any fear?
Fear? Let's see here. The only fear is about 5 minutes I got to go live on Facebook. But the fear, fear of heights. I have. I'm not too fearful. I mean, I think I could be fearful if somebody was coming at me with a gun or a knife or something. I would have fear. But I'm pretty. I'm kind of. It is what it is. Life's going to move me forwards. It was funny. I did a story yesterday morning. I'm out in Montauk, okay? I want to put a throw in there for my Montauk Manor, beautiful place where I got a little place there. The guy that built Miami Beach, Carl Fisher, when he finished, he came up to Montauk and he built the Montauk Manor and Gurney's out here. It's great. Come on out. But I went out to the lighthouse, okay? And I have a 75 Volkswagen Bug, okay? And I used to have happy faces and I was in parades and all kinds of things. It rusted out. Now it's at a shop, and it's actually in Brooklyn. I towed it from Brooklyn to out here, the watermill. In any case, so another guy had a 69 Bug, and I was and the Montauk Lighthouse, and I see this guy, and the Bug, he puts down the top. I have a convertible too, and I appreciate it. And we started talking. His name was Noah, and I said to him, Noah, listen, if we're out here in the watery area, surrounded by water. And I said, listen, if we ever have a real water problem, you can use your Bug like Noah used his ark. He goes, and what he said to me, he said, no, I said, what are you going to do? He said, the fishermen are going to take care of it and save me. So, I think a lot of people have a lot of trust in the world around them. And I think a lot of people, by far, and I've written and I speak on this, the world is good. And even Richie Havens, and when I did Woodstock 20th anniversary, said, 10% might be confused or, making life a little more difficult for others. But if there's 8 billion people and you take 10% of that, 800 million, listen to that number, that leaves 7.2 billion people just trying to get through the day, get a glass of water, and be nice to each other. So I'm under that belief. I'm with the glass so much more full than empty. Than I could do 1 billion stories a day about good news. I'm stressed out from it all. So I just like to think that thought. I believe in it. The art of positive thinking. My mother, the librarian at Temple Emmanuel, gave me Reverend Norman Vincent Peale's book, and I'm sticking with it. Because I know it's true. At least it's true for me. The world is good, and when you're nice to others, others are always nice to you. There's a couple bad apples in the bushel, and as the Native American Indians would do, they would hug them and try to help them through their difficult times, just like your daughter is going to go and help some people. It's all good, Joey, But I better gotta get ready for my show. And I love you so much, and I thank you so much for allowing me to be on your show.
So what are you going to talk about today on your show?
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to rebroadcast this show right here, right now with Joey Reynolds. What an honor. Or we can do in a separate one at another time if you'd like. But you, in very few words, even though you think you said you need to say a lot of words, you say an immense amount of things. You really do, Joey. And it'll be a big honor. You're going to be my show today.
Oh,
I'm doing it every day.
I love you, Paul.
I'm a lucky guy. We're getting a twofer here.
This is Paul Sladkus, and you can go to his site. He is a site. And I love the idea that you have spent some time with me today, and you got me to say some things that I probably should edit but can't. I love you.
Don't edit a word. There's not one word you said that was not right and good, as far as I'm concerned. They were all earnest and honest feelings.
Paul Sladkus, my friend, my brother. Let a smile be your umbrella, but don't get a mouthful.